I have a genuine question for my American followers because you guys probably watch your mainstream media a lot more than I do. And my question is, are there ever debates between a left-leaning Democrat and a right-wing Republican? Like, do you have a situation where two people from the opposing side, they sit at a table and they just calmly debate issues? Is that ever a thing? Because in my country, it's quite common. Like, we have members of different parties and, they join various talk shows, and sometimes the moderators are biased, other times they're not, but you actually do have intelligent conversation about politics. And a lot of Romanians don't think that's the case. A lot of Romanians think that our politics is bad, but that's only because they haven't seen American politics. Like, I'm watching this, and I'm losing neurons as I watch it. And I'll explain to you why as soon as I force you to watch it as well.
The Democrats had elected people. The Supreme Court is completely his. It's so disgraceful, this court, that it shouldn't even be allowed to be called the Supreme Court.
Why are they even clapping? This is like a kindergarten thing. It's like, oh, the Supreme Court. And it shouldn't even be allowed to be called the Supreme Court. Oh! Is this comedy? Is this something intelligent? Jesus.
It's an insult to Motown to call it the Supreme Court. So
again, if you actually have been in one of these sets, you would realize just how fake it is. Like, normally, I don't know how they do it in this show, but normally in situations like this, the audience is actually paid to stay there. They stay for more than how many hours the show is. Like, if the show is 2 hours, they can even stay for 4 or 5. Because usually, they record, they take breaks, and they cut it up. Unless it's like a live thing. I don't know if this is live or not. But the important thing is that they actually have a button that goes applause, and they have a button that says laugh. The reason they're doing this is to create the illusion that this is funny. Is to create the illusion that this is how the majority of people think. It's to create the illusion of consensus, if you will, right? Like, this is what people laugh, and if you're not laughing, you're on the outside. And this is also why they dress so expensively. Like you'll notice all these comedians, they wear suit and tie, they're very presentable, right? They're not wearing clown costumes. And this is to show that this is what decent people do, right? This is how decent people talk. This is how decent people think. And if you don't believe like them, you're out of the club. Like, this is a prestigious club. You want to be in it. You want to laugh as well. You want to vibe with the jokes.
It's not even a court. It's only a court in the sense that the court of Louis XVI was a court. Basically, it's a harem. Okay? It's a harem. It's Trump's harem. So I always feel sorry for the 3 real judges on the court. I know a lot of people have jobs, not me, not you.
So this is insanely partisan, right? And the audience is laughing, which tells you that the audience is insanely partisan as well. It's like, oh, there's only 3 judges on the court. Why? Is it based on how they're ruling? Is it based on what? No, it's because they're Democrats, right? So, Democrats, decent people, decent judges. Everyone else is a harem, belongs to Trump, all this other nonsense.
And you have to go to work every day, and there are people you don't like at work. But can you imagine having to go to work every day? Alito? You have to go to work with Alito, with Kavanaugh, it must be horrible. So what Biden should do, not that you asked, but when they passed that law, the Supreme Court passed that ruling, where they said, you're not the president, you're the king, which is what that ruling is.
Another insanity that they keep repeating itself, right? The idea that the president cannot be imprisoned for the stuff that he does in office, right? This was always the case. Has there been a single American president that has been convicted for an act that they signed as a president? Like, for instance, when Obama ordered the drone striking and there was collateral damage for the drone strike, why wasn't he tried for that? I mean, there were civilians that got murdered. Why wasn't Obama taken to a court where he had to prove his innocence for ordering the drone strike? And other countries have the same thing, by the way. Like, there are other countries, that, like Romania, for instance, they do give immunity to people who are in office. And why is it only the president, right? Like, what if you're a senator and you vote on something that is illegal? Like for instance, you vote on shutting down the businesses of people. And then it's constitutionally overturned, but like your vote, your decision actually influenced the lives of people. Why aren't they held responsible for that? You know, should they pay for the damages when they pass a legislation like that? Why is it only the president? Oh, because it's Trump. So it's not like they have this principle which says, okay, so the lawmakers should know that on any type of legislation that they pass, if it's deemed to cause criminal damages, they should be prosecuted. No, they don't believe that. They only believe that the president should be prosecuted, which is very interesting. And they are gaslighting the public in order to believe that Trump will do it. So basically, he probably wanted to do it before. It's just that he didn't have like the confirmation of the Supreme Court, right? But if he gets elected, now he will definitely do it. It's absolutely mental. I mean, he's not going to get impeached, right? There's not going to be other governors that are going to secede from the union if something like that would even occur. It's not the possibility that the military would even like refuse to carry out the order. Like, no. It's like this in this liberal fantasy land. Just because the Supreme Court is saying, yeah, so if you are the president of the United States and you order a drone strike or something as an act of being a president, you're not going to be prosecuted. No, they genuinely believe that the U.S. president is now going to sign all sorts of illegal shit. And he's like completely unaccountable. He's like a king. He's like a monarch. He doesn't have a party that can rail him in. He cannot be impeached. No, it's just, okay.
You can do whatever you want. You can never be, held responsible.
They can do whatever he wants. Yeah, if he wants, he can tell people to stay home and stay safe and take away their gas stoves because he's now the president. Because the Supreme Court said so.
Possible. I thought, Biden's still the president. No one seems to notice. But
okay, that was funny.
Biden should dissolve the Supreme Court.
So the reason I'm losing IQ from listening to this absolute madness is that, okay, let's assume that Biden would dissolve the Supreme Court. Perfect. What if the Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional to dissolve the Supreme Court? Oh, no! Oh my goodness! Oh, did you think about that? Oh no, you didn't! Oh! No, but in reality, like, that would actually happen, right? So, like, if you pass a legislation to stack the court or to dissolve the court or anything like that, the court can simply say that your legislation is unconstitutional. And Thomas can even sign it, go fuck yourself. Now, what would happen in a situation where the Supreme Court actually needs to be dissolved? How would you go around on you change the Constitution. Oh, but you need votes in order to change the... I see. So, basically, the Democrats may want to dissolve the court, but the people may not. And unfortunately, the people still have a say in it. Fucking hell. Like, again, who are these people? Why do they get to speak on child? Why is it that anyone saying, like, okay, so you pass legislation to dissolve the court, and if the court says the legislation is unconstitutional, what do you do then? By the way, I looked at America's history and I found something very interesting about the Supreme Court. Especially if you look at old articles and old videos, you will see that the left has constantly used the court to push for stuff that wouldn't pass democratically. Stuff like abortion, gay marriage, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. But the founding fathers in the Constitution, they didn't think about abortion. Like, I would even pay money for someone that can show me in the American Constitution, where do you think the founding fathers cared about abortion? They didn't care about one way or another. It doesn't restrict it, it doesn't allow it, so it should be up to the states to vote on it. But unfortunately, a lot of leftists didn't like how states vote on it. Like, they realized, okay, California and New York would probably vote for it, but like, there's other states, and we don't like that other states get to vote differently, so we should force them. And they use the Supreme Court to force them. Even gay marriage, as popular as it is, there is a reason why Barack Obama back in the day wasn't in favor for it, because he was looking at the polling numbers. It was, shit. So again, they use the Supreme Court rather than allow the states to vote for it. I think like some states would have voted for it, but they don't like democracy, right? They like the Supreme Court to be used as a tool for revolutionary purposes, to pass certain legislation in a way that wouldn't get through the normal democratic process. And for those of you who are too young to remember, there used to be people back then that would say the Democrats are using activist judges. Look at how these Democrat judges are voting. And the answer from the media and the Democrats was that there is no such thing as a Democrat judge, because when you become a judge on the Supreme Court, you're supposed to be apolitical, so they're leaving the politics at the door, and there's no one to control them because they're independent now, and they don't answer to anyone but themselves and their conscience, and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, there are right-wing judges. Yes, there are Republican judges, there are George Bush judges, there are Trump judges. All of a sudden they realize, it's like, oh, the world suddenly made sense. So this is the rhetoric of American politics. And again, like, no one from the media would bring this up. Like, they won't say, it's like, well, hold on a little bit. Like, just like 15 years ago, you guys were saying there's no such thing as a Clinton judge, or, you know, like, no, all of a sudden there is something like a Trump judge. All of a sudden, Kavanaugh evil. Interesting. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.